Is a bumper harvest always good for farmers? To simplify this question, we refer to good as an increase in farmers' income or revenue. If the harvest increases the farmers' income, then it is good for farmers. If the farmers' revenue falls because of the harvest, then it is bad for the farmers. Is a bumper harvest always good for farmers? You may be skeptical about this claim because you have probably seen news reports like this one about avocados. Farmers have been forced to dump thousands of avocados in far north Queensland because of an oversupply of the fruit and increased transportation and packaging costs, according to news from The Guardian on May 10, 2022. Avocado Australia's chairman Jim Cauchi said the avocados were dumped because of an oversupply in the domestic market amid favorable growing conditions, particularly in Western Australia. We have a fairly high supply of premium and Class 1 avocados, and about 2 weeks ago, when this happened, price returns to growers were quite low, he said. The price fell to $1 when normally it could be $2 or $3 per piece. Or this one about cranberries. While cranberry farmers expect a good harvest, they have to dump 25% of their crop.
It's been a real good growing season. It started late with that big snowfall, but with the warm summer temps, we really caught up. Now, as you can see, the leaves are turning, cranberries are turning. We're probably about a week away from harvest right now.
While cranberry farmers are having a good season, only about 75% of their crop will be used because of a late ruling by the U.S. Department of Agriculture to get supplies under control. The ruling comes because there are too many cranberries.
We're growing fruit faster than we can sell it. So one of the things we can do in the short run is try to manage that supply.
A good harvest might be bad for these farmers. They had to destroy some of their crops to avoid a dramatic decrease in price. To better understand this phenomenon, we must know the relationship between market supply and demand, and the relationship between farmers' income and the price elasticity of demand. We can look into it in 2 steps. In the first step, we figure out how the market supply and demand change when a bumper harvest occurs. We use the supply and demand diagram to show what happens. The y-axis represents the price of cranberries, and the x-axis shows the quantity of cranberries. The demand for cranberries is downward sloping because the lower the price, the greater the demand. The higher the price, the smaller the demand. The supply of cranberries is upward sloping because a higher market price encourages farmers to grow more cranberries. A good harvest shifts the supply curve to the right. That is because for each price level, more cranberries are supplied to the market. Suppose the demand for cranberries is unchanged. The quantity of cranberries sold increases at the new market equilibrium, and the market equilibrium price falls. In the second step, we investigate the factors that determine the farmer's income. We know that the farmer's income or revenue equals the product of two variables, the price times the quantity. These two variables are not independent but interrelated, and their relationship is determined by the downward sloping demand curve. That is, the lower the price, the greater the demand. The higher the price, the smaller the demand. The two variables move in opposite directions. One possible case is shown in this graph. The revenue falls as more cranberries are supplied to the market. It is $80 before harvest. But it drops to $40 after harvest. This is the case for goods that are price inelastic. The decrease in price only causes a slight increase in the quantity demanded. The increase in the quantity sold is proportionately smaller than the decrease in the price. In other words, the quantity change is insensitive to the price change. Only when the farmers lower the price significantly can they sell more crops, which means that the price of crops often drops sharply when the crops are abundant. Therefore, the farmer's revenue falls as the price falls. A mathematical proof is as follows. Farmer's revenue R equals price P times quantity Q. Price is related to quantity and it is a function of quantity. P equals PQ. To find the change in revenue R in response to the change in quantity, we use the first derivative of R with respect to Q. Using the chain rule, we have the following equation. We rearrange the equation and find that it is about the price elasticity. The price elasticity of demand is defined as the percentage change in quantity divided by the percentage change in price. It is a measure of how sensitive the demand changes as its price increases. For instance, if the demand for cranberries decreases by 10% when the price increases by 5%, then the price elasticity of demand is -2. It is always negative because the demand and the price move in opposite directions. When the value of the elasticity is between -1 and 0, the product is price inelastic, which means the change in demand is proportionately smaller than the change in price. Consumers' demand is insensitive to the price change. Under this condition, the derivative of revenue with respect to quantity is negative. It implies that as quantity increases, revenue falls. That is the case we have just seen. As the supply of avocados and cranberries increases, farmers' incomes fall. So they have to dump some of their crops to reduce the supply. Another case is when the value of the elasticity is less than -1. The demand is price elastic in this case, which means the change in demand is proportionately larger than the price change. Consumer demand is sensitive to the price change. In this situation, the farmer's revenue increases as supply increases during harvest. Now, we understand that the harvest can increase or decrease farmers' revenue. It depends on the price elasticity of demand. When the demand is price inelastic, farmers' revenue will fall when the supply increases after harvest. For most consumers, staple foods such as potatoes, vegetables, breads, cereals, and fruits are price inelastic. Why are staple foods price inelastic? That is because nowadays, for most people, the expenditures on food accounts a very small proportion of their total expenditures, which makes them insensitive to the price change of the food. In addition, staple foods are necessity. The amount of necessities people purchase are relatively constant. No matter how the price changes, the demand for staple foods will not change significantly. Thank you for watching this video and subscribing to my YouTube channel. See you next time.